What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video, this time for the Italian Grand Prix. Had to think about that for a second. It's so weird when the Dutch Grand Prix is sandwiched in between Spa and Monza. It just completely throws me off. But here we are for another daily upload. Just call me Benjamin Daily at this point. And I mean daily with an I. Maybe I should change my name. Anyway, we're back for another upload. Italian Grand Prix, Monza. This is a track that I really enjoy, but it's come to light recently on social media. Things have been coming out about this game. People have been blowing up. Apparently the AI are very quick in a straight line. We've seen evidence of that at times, so I'm not sure about how I'm going to go at this track. Of course I can cheese the corners like I always do, but if I can't overtake anyone on straights, it's going to be an awfully difficult race. But we're going to run very low downforce. We'll explore that in just a second. There are some pretty mad setups going on at the moment on time trial. I'm seeing a few 0-0 wing world records out there, which is pretty darn crazy. We have loaded one of those 0-0 wing setups, but I think I might change it just for the sake of my sanity. But before we get to that, we have some supercar action in a Ferrari F8 Tributo. And what a joy it is to drive a Ferrari at Monza and absolutely destroy this piece of beautiful artwork by yeeting it into another Ferrari. Hopefully they've got insurance, because, well, I'm not paying for that. Marduk Motorsport is already in the mud as it is. We won that first race. Second race here, you can see we're taunting the competition. We are taunting Mr. Tremblay. We are literally ending this guy's career week in, week out. Why does he keep signing up for more? Where is this guy come from? Is he a Ferrari driver? Is he reserve driver for Marduk Motorsport? Like, what's this guy's story? I need to know. But classic me, I've cut one corner and I'm nearing disqualification. No sponsor bonus for this mini challenge. Not that there would be one anyway. Anyway, Tremblay's in front of us, and I'm sure at this point he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's absolutely pooing himself. He's got the chance to beat a Formula 1 driver. But we have something else to say about that as we draw alongside on this back straight, and we're going to yeet this guy around the outside if we can, side by side. How good is that for a replay camera shot? We go around his outside, and we swiftly take away all of his hopes and dreams. And that's GG. Are we going to have another cheeky slide? You bet we are. And are we going to wipe out the car for a third time? Of course. Of course we are. This is our subtle way of taking out the competition, trying to bankrupt Ferrari in an effort to, well, move up the constructors. I've wiped out 3 cars. No one let me near a supercar on a racetrack because this is what's going to happen, really. 3 from 3, 1,000 driver acclaim, and 100k cash in the bank. Quite funny that we actually walk away with positive cash flow there. But we're into the weekend itself now at Monza. A little bit of rain potentially for the end of the Grand Prix. 15% chance of rain again. In the performance index, we are not upgrading. We haven't upgraded since Hungary. We haven't moved anywhere. And we're building up quite the bank of resource points. McLaren continuing to improve their car. AlphaTauri making good strides. And Williams just edging away from us ever so slightly. Friday practice didn't go so well for us. I didn't actually manage to get all the discounts for some future upgrades. So that was slightly disappointing. A lot of engine mileage done in this session, but we don't need to worry about engine mileage. We've got like 7-8 components for the engine in some areas, so we don't need to stress. But yeah, we're slowly building our way towards being able to upgrade massively. We're just still waiting on the facilities. Need to do a few more we need to do a lot of things, actually. I don't know why I'm kidding myself. I've only done a facility upgrade in the last few rounds. It's so hard to build up money at this point, especially when I'm wiping out Ferraris left, right, and center on the weekend. But, yeah. We've got 5k resource points. They are raring to go. We need to buy more facility upgrades, whether it be fabrication, quality control, and also resource point generation. But enough about that. Time for quali. Oh man, how good does that car look? I love the matte black with those details and the carbon fiber. I'm not sure we can come up with a better livery for Season 2, at least when it comes to the Codemasters selection of liveries. I'm going to have to start talking to Sevi and start planning, start making some business deals, see what sponsors we can get on the car for next season. There's the setup, 0-0 wings. I don't trust this car. We don't have enough raw downforce, really, I think, to run that kind of setup. Or at least I don't want to chance it. I'm going to go with 5 on the rear wing. Because if we lock ourselves into that setup and it's unstable as hell through Ascari and Parabolica, for example, then there's no saving us for the rest of the weekend. So we're playing it a little bit safe, increasing the rear wing if we need to. And I feel like we've got understeer. We can always increase the front wing at any point over the course of the weekend. So 0-5 wings right now, and this thing is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line, or at least it feels that way. Will it be the case when we get to the Grand Prix itself and we're having to race some of those stupidly fast AI drivers? I guess it remains to be seen. But P6 on our opening lap, 1 minute 20.5. It was an okay lap. It was our sighter lap. We go for another push lap and we end up going straight on at turn 1. Negotiating. Okay, just 2 laps of my god, we don't have the turning circle to make it round the chicane. Imagine if I did that in the race. I'd be like a lap down by this point. Having to flick spin or do a half flick spin to get round that chicane. It is definitely slower to go through there on the game as opposed to real life. Anyway, we have a cool down lap. We go again on the same set of tires. We fueled the car up for a few laps to do a couple of blasts. The ERS usage was actually pretty good. I could have gone for back-to-back quali laps there, which is interesting. So looks like the deployment isn't too harsh around here, and that is slightly encouraging for the race. That will potentially be able to push a little bit harder. We'll have to wait and see. We're up by nearly 6/10 on this lap. We just really nailed the apexes a little bit better. Of course, the track is getting faster as well, so that's certainly helping. Up to the line. This could get us in the top 10 here, and across the line, it doesn't get us in the top 10. We stay exactly where we were, which was 14th place. Few people improve, and we're down to 18th again. My teammates had a stinker. He's 4 seconds off the pace. Sector 1 was good, and then Sector 2, he's like 3 seconds off, so that needs sorting out. It seems like Oscar, most sessions, has a terrible opening lap in quali, and sometimes if he doesn't get his second lap in, he'll be at the back. That's the problem. Last race, I know I out-qualified him by a second, but he hasn't been getting proper qualifying laps in lately. He hasn't been showcasing the pace until we get to the race, by which point he's kind of buried in traffic and he can't do too much. But here we are on our final run. We're P20 at the moment. We only improved by 0.2, and I'm sure that's not going to see us through to the next session. Oscar finally gets a lap in, and what do you know? He's 0.6 in front of me. And the difficulty level is only 1 step higher than last round. So we go from being 1 second faster on 106 difficulty to 107 the next race, and he's 0.6 ahead of me. It is so hard to balance the AI difficulty track to track. It is absolutely nuts. Yes, he didn't get his quality laps in before. Now he's got one in, and we know the true pace of our teammate. He has finally arrived. I did boost his pace. I did boost his focus, and he's arrived. So let's see what he can do in the Grand Prix. Let's hope for grid penalties for those around us. We are staying with our engine.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today, here at the oldest circuit on the calendar, which hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Sebastian Vettel and Perez. They've taken a grid penalty. Leclerc, Stroll, Verstappen and George Russell. Oscar Piastri, Albon, Benjamin and Mick Schumacher. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon, Joe, Yuki Tsunoda, they've taken a grid penalty, and Pierre Gasly. Ricciardo, Latifi, Sainz, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid.
Well then, so some absolutely massive penalties for the circuit of Monza. I was kind of anticipating this. That's why I didn't want to change an engine to a new one. I knew we were in 21st place. It would have been quite rough either way. But we don't need engine penalties. We don't need new engine components. We've already got enough to last us to the rest of the season quite comfortably. And if there's any racetrack you want to take engine penalties, this is the place. So I thought the AI would take some, and it's promoted us up into 13th place. Oscar Piastri in P11. So we're on the fringes of some points. Very fast drivers behind us, which we'll hopefully try and keep behind, and then overtake some of the slower boys around us. I'm looking at you, Albon. Away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. Let's see if we can make the Tifosi cry here. Carlos Sainz down the order. And, well, they've got their work cut out for them to Ferrari. Heading into turn one, up the inside of like 3, made that 4 drivers. Nearly getting Max Verstappen. The corner cutting sponsor bonus is in the mud after 1 corner. I know it's Monza, but I can't stop corner cutting, it seems. We've been a good boy lately. We've been getting our bonuses, but it's not going to happen today. Verstappen going in deep into the second chicane. Tried to do the under and over, or as Crofty says, the old switcheroo, but unable to make that work. Myself and Piastri completely swapping positions in this race. I hope he can stay with us, as can Albon in that Williams, the next slowest car compared to us. And there's Piastri making moves up into P12. He goes round the outside, looking ahead now to Verstappen, who's going up the middle of Vettel and Russell. 3 wide for those guys. We try and take a nice flowing run out to Parabolica, and we get 3 cars in one go. That's probably the easiest 3-man overtake I'm going to get this season. Make that 4 cars as we head up the inside of the defending world champion of last season. It's P7, baby. I love Monza. I love Monza a lot, but I don't think... Okay, no team radio. Nice one, Ben. I don't think we're going to move any further forward in this race now. Leclerc 3 seconds up the road. Red Bull in P5 as well. Those guys are going to be absolute rocket ships in a straight line. Even with our 0 and 5 wings, we're quite slow compared to those around us. That must be an insane amount of development for the Red Bull, for the Aston Martin, for drag reduction, for engine power. I am running the least draggy car that I can naturally set up on my car. Yeah, I'm still getting overtaken relatively easily when the AI deploy some of their battery. It's very obvious when they do go up into overtake, as Verstappen has a move up the inside. I think he mounted the curve a little bit too much, sent him towards us, and then he couldn't get on power nice and early. We had the inside for the second part of that chicane, and that set us up nicely to retake the position. Meanwhile, Vettel is looking to retake Verstappen's position. He goes for a big lunge, and he almost got... Oh my word, he nearly runs into me. I had to completely cut out the chicane there to avoid not getting crashed into with Vettel. His red arrow came out of nowhere. I saw him coming, thankfully, and if I would have stayed and committed to that apex, I would have got floor damage or potentially worse, got spun around and then got hit by Verstappen, and then that massive train of cars right behind him. I wanted to almost opt for survival in this race. I know that my speed isn't the best, and I felt a move coming from Verstappen and Vettel and company. So I'm just playing this for the long game. The AI are a bit mad at Monza. They love going side by side, and when they do, they lose so much time. So I think purely by just staying in the race and remaining with an undamaged car, I think it's our best chance of getting maybe a top 10 in this race. You can see how much they're squabbling. Guan Yu Zhou looking for a move up the inside, and we're actually going to let him have it because I don't have the speed. I'm too slow on the straights, and I have to use all my battery and more just to kind of run with these guys. So we're going to hopefully run undistracted. That's the reason why I let Zhou Guan Yu go up my inside, so that now no one from behind can dive bomb me. Hopefully they don't squabble so much that Schumacher and Albon buy into this fight as well. And I can just sit at the back of this train and be patient. We know from last race that we were not so strong on the mediums. Life opened up for us when we were on the hards. And I think in this race, I'm going to switch to softs at the end of the race. This is a low tyre deg circuit, and if I just sit back and chill and look after my rear tyres, I think we're setting ourselves up well for success, especially with retirements, crashes, mistakes from the AI. Anything's possible, and I just need to not get involved too much in this dogfighting that's happening at the moment, as we got the inside of Guan Yu Zhou, Stroll and those two were just squabbling a little bit too much for my liking, and we put a car between ourselves and the Haas. I think the Haas made a pit stop or got overtaken by Ocon and those. I'm not too sure. The order changes oh so quickly at this circuit, especially with the AI and their desperate dive bombs they've been making lately in the slipstream of Lance Stroll. He's looking a little bit defensive here as we head into turn 1. We're trying to make it work around the outside, and we do make it work around the outside and into the points now in this race. Can we hold on to it though? Stroll still in my slipstream, still in my DRS, only 2/10 behind. There's not much I can do to defend against that. Battery's down to 60%, so I just have to pick my battles here. Oh, Stroll is gone straight into the mud, or the gravel, shall I say, and he's going to lose a bunch of positions out of that. This is what I mean. If I just play it cautious, play it careful, these opportunities will present themselves. Stroll is now gone for his hopes of getting a top 10 in this race. And now we're kind of in no man's land because there's a big old gap between myself and the next group of cars behind. And that only continues to get worse for these guys as Schumacher went straight on at the last corner, took off Ocon's wing. And now both of those guys are stopping. And it's Albon and Guan Yu Zhou left to fight for that position, really. And they're a solid 4 seconds back. So they're all squabbling really, really hard. My teammate's in for a change of front wing. I'm guessing something similar happened to him. The AI are a bit mad with their, like I said, desperate lunges. And they're really just kind of killing each other in this race. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to play an efficient game of getting to the finish line as quickly as I can without getting myself involved in trouble. And it seems to be working so far. We're doing the overcut on everyone around us. They're all going early on the hard compound tires, and I think that the mediums are probably still faster than new hards. So we're really trying to work this overcut meta. I think it's especially going to work if the AI continue to battle once they've emerged out of the pit lane on their cold hard compound tires, and then we're going to put on softs in only a few laps time and absolutely romp past those around us. We'll have to wait and see, but everyone is into the pit lane now. We move into the lead of this race, and it is under our control, but only temporarily. 2.5 seconds to Norris. We're not going to keep this position, not unless there's a red flag and we can change tyres under the red flag. It's not going to happen because there's no red flags in F1 22. Let's hope for F1 23. It would be lovely to see red flags in the game once again. But Lando Norris looking really good for the win here. Alonso in P2, effective P2. They've got Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc chasing them down. And here comes Sergio around the outside. No, he's bottled it. Sergio Perez has thrown away a potential podium, potentially a shot at winning this race, which allows Verstappen to go through. And that's not the first time we've seen a big mistake at the Ascari chicane. I was looking to go in the pit lane in case there was... Oh, it's Alonso! He's off the podium as well! So it's Lando Norris all out on his own, trying to win this race. He's losing all of his competition around him. Alonso out of the Grand Prix. Still no safety car. A safety car would really help me in this race. It would pretty much be a free pit stop and a chance to really attack the race leaders with soft compound tyres. But here comes Lando on his hards. We're not going to fight this. We're not fighting Lando or Leclerc, Hamilton or Verstappen in this race. We've got to think about who we're actually fighting, and that is the Aston Martins, the Haases, the Alfa Romeos in this race for fringe points. Sebastian Vettel is currently on target for a P8, P7 in this race, and we need to maximize our points all today to really limit the damage that Aston are going to do to us today. So I've got to play it smart. Oscar's not going to be on target for points. He's pretty much right at the back, as you can see on the mini-map. We are boxing at the end of this lap because we've lost DRS to Lando. Did my best to really delete my battery in an effort to stay close, but I just don't have the pace that Lando does in that McLaren. That car is really improving rapidly. That car was slower than us at the start of the season, and now they're They're front runners. They're winning races. It really is inspirational to see. Hopefully, we can tap into that later this season or early next season. Into the pit lane we go for a set of soft compound tyres. We really did work the overcut today, and I think our pace, even on the old medium compound tyres, was quite solid, quite consistent. So much so to the fact we've actually been able to overcut Daniel Ricciardo. Was he already behind us? I think he might have already been behind us, but regardless, it's a McLaren. The other McLaren's winning this race, so if we can keep that McLaren behind, then that'd be absolutely amazing. Conversely, maybe we could use Daniel Ricciardo strategically to get us an extra point in this race. I don't think we'll be able to chase down Sergio Perez. So what I'm doing here is I'm opting not to use any battery on this out lap in the hopes that Daniel Ricciardo can catch me, overtake me, give me DRS, and then I charge for a fastest lap. Unfortunately, it's not worked out that way, and we're going to go for a push lap on this lap to see if we can get the fastest lap on our own, and if that fails, then next lap or the lap after we'll recharge our battery, we'll go again and let Daniel tow us along towards a fastest lap. That's the plan. Let's see how well it works out or not. I think we probably need to work with Ricciardo anyway, so just to really make sure we pull away from Magnussen and make sure he's not a threat towards the end of this race, because my softs could die off. I don't think they will, because they've only got 10 laps to do, but you never quite know in these races. Anyway, good first sector. We went purple, which is lovely to see. Pretty much using most of our battery on that start-finish straight, and then the run into the second chicane as well was quite nice. Again, we're going to use a lot of battery, a little bit of a back-end loss out of Lesmo 2, which is going to hurt the exit speed a little bit, but we should be okay as long as we can maximize this next left-right chicane of Ascari. I didn't mount the curb as much as I would have liked to, but we got on the power nice and early, and that should be good for the top-end speed. Max Verstappen sets a new fastest lap of the race. We need to improve by over 1.5 seconds compared to our previous personal best. Can it be done? Out of the last corner. Pretty good rotation out of there, on the power nice and early, using the rest of the battery that we have available for the rest of the lap. Up to the line, and we do beat Max Verstappen by 0.3 of a second. Very, very nice. That is a fastest lap of the Grand Prix for now, but you need to remember, these guys are all on hard compound tyres, and they're only going to get faster towards the end of the race. Their fuel is going to burn off very quickly, and they're not going to have much tyre deg towards the end of the race. So I don't think my fastest lap is enough. I need to go again. I need DRS to really help me secure that fastest lap, and we're going to do that now with DRS courtesy of Daniel Ricciardo. Unfortunately, I bottled this part of the lap here. I dipped a couple of wheels into the gravel, and it's invited Daniel to have a go back at me, and that's pretty much game over for this lap. I think we need to charge up and go again. So we opted not to use any more battery for the rest of the lap. It left us vulnerable to Ricciardo up the inside into Ascari, unable to get us on this occasion. I don't think I'm going to fight this. In fact, I'm actually going to let him go. Watch my throttle trace here, completely lifting out to not be side by side. And I actually want to be further away from Ricciardo heading onto this straight than what I was last lap, because I really want to slingshot towards him. Last lap, I was side by side with him, and that wasn't really helpful, but I'm in the slipstream, and I've got the DRS, so this is going to be a real slingshot to start hopefully what is the fastest lap of the entire Grand Prix. But we do have 20% tyre wear at this point, which is not ideal. Purple to the first sector, yellow flag at the first chicane. We mount that second chicane very nicely, actually risking a bit of floor damage there, going over the orange sausage curb. Guan Yu Zhou's out of the Grand Prix. I think he was in P12, P13 at the time, and was a real threat, or was potentially a threat of overtaking us earlier on in the race. Not so much now that he's out, but out of the last corner we come. A little bit low on battery, which I think has hurt us, and it isn't a fastest lap. We're 0.4 slower than our previous attempts, so I think that's game over now for our tyres. They've seen their best performance. We're out of ERS now, and Daniel Ricciardo is looking as fast as he ever has throughout this Grand Prix. Remember last race, or the race before, he was very quick. He was setting provisional pole positions in qualifying. He's been setting fastest laps of the race. This McLaren should not be underestimated. This could be a championship contending car by the end of the season if things go their way. They haven't really been struck too hard by reliability off the top of my head, I can't remember a McLaren retiring from a race. So their reliability has been sublime. But if they start winning races and you know, Red Bull and Ferrari keep DNFing, then I think anything's possible in this season as we see Daniel up the inside into turn 1. Not able to follow through with that, and we hold P9 for the time being. 3 laps to go in this race, and I'm in a bit of a crisis here because I'm running out of pace, and looks like Daniel is only getting stronger in this race. I'm trying to charge up my battery by not using it too much, but I'm not using it. Daniel is all over me as he gets up the inside into the second chicane. We try and do the old switcheroo, and I think it might work this time, as opposed to the time we tried it on Verstappen. No, he's got too much downforce, too much speed through the mid-sector, and he's going to hold on to that one. Perhaps not the worst result, actually, as we're going to get some DRS, and might actually be a good chance for us to really recharge our battery without having to stress the tyres too much. So let's see if we can stay nice and close. Pierre Gasly with the fastest lap of the race, absolutely ruining my day. So there's no chance for us to get the fastest lap back. Pierre Gasly actually made a pit stop on the softs and has very saltily taken that point away from me, which is a real shame. Round the outside we go on Daniel Ricciardo. Actually a bit of contact made at the apex of turn 1. Thankfully no damage for us, at least. Is there any damage to Daniel Ricciardo? I think he might be okay as it goes round the outside. Yeah, that end plate is completely intact. So he is free to crack on in this race. Caution, heading into this sector. Someone has gone straight on, potentially, into the gravel trap. It looks like they've got themselves out, and we've got ourselves out of P10 and back into P9 as we head on to this penultimate lap of the Italian Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz is in P11 after starting at the back of the grid, so he's taken his sweet time to get to the front, or close to the front. Getting in the points is getting very close. So my chances of finishing in the points now have taken a massive hit because Carlos Sainz is absolutely flying in that Ferrari. And if you look on the minimap, he's dragged those Haas's with him. So we could be as low as P13 in this race if Sainz is allowed to go through. So we have to actually think smart here and block off the bigger threat. I didn't want to move to the left because that would allow Sainz to go up the inside into the last corner, which he's done anyway because I've had so much understeer through Parabolica, and Sainz has gained 2 positions in one go. We're on the last lap of the Grand Prix. The Tifosi are going mad because it's side by side for a final points finish. Here goes Magnussen out of nowhere, overtaking Ricciardo. So Ricciardo's gone from P9 to P12 in the blink of an eye, and he's looking down the barrel of no points in this race, potentially about to be overtaken by the other Haas of Mick Schumacher. Poor Ricciardo, poor me. We might not be getting any points in this race, and it might be an all-Ferrari power unit affair here on this last lap. But these guys are having a power struggle. It's Schumacher. No, it's not Schumacher. It's Magnussen versus Sainz. Hopefully those two can continue to squabble as they head into the middle sector chicane. They are still side by side a little bit. That's given me a little, tiny bit of breathing room as we head on to this middle sector straight. We do have 40% battery, so we can afford to push quite hard for the rest of this race. Here comes Lando Norris out of the last corner, and in an alternate universe, he has won the Italian Grand Prix. McLaren win back-to-back from 2021 to 2022. It is redemption for Lando Norris, who had to sit behind his teammate last year. He has not been obstructed this year and gets the full complement of 25 points. And I think it looks like we are going to hold on just about from Carlos Sainz. He is going to get a point in this race, barring any major mistake through the last corner. He's coming up really close to us though. ERS up to the line, and we are going to get another points finish in this car.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Ah, lovely stuff. Made the most of that weekend. Good strategy, overcut everyone, and most importantly, we kept it out of trouble.
It was a tough race at times, but they've held on to take a great victory for McLaren today. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Ed is absolutely speechless. He's actually passed out. He's absolutely ecstatic with that Lando Norris victory.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm very happy to see them there on that top step of the podium.
Can we get some Fs in chat for Anthony Davidson? He is the biggest Lando Norris fanboy. I hope he can recover from this very swiftly. But there we go. We have a McLaren standing on the top step of the podium, and that has got to be a bit of a sobering sight for the rest of this Formula One paddock. McLaren are fighting at the front now. They have got some serious straight line speed and consistency, given that they're not really retiring from races either. I'll be very interested to see the drivers' standings, to see if any of the McLaren drivers have a chance of winning the drivers' standings. Ricciardo maybe not after that P11 today, but I think, if my memory serves me correctly, Daniel is the lead McLaren in the drivers' standings so far. But yeah, there we go. It's P9 for us, 2 points. We just missed out on the fastest lap there, courtesy of Pierre Gasly. He is a rival to us in the Constructors, so maybe it was beneficial for them to take the point away from us. They're actually in P9, P10 in the Constructors. They only have 3 points against their name, so they really need to rally for this second half of the season, because their pace has been nowhere, surprisingly. P12 for us in the driver's standings. We're kind of in no man's land at the moment. We're most under threat from Mick Schumacher. That Haas is looking pretty fast at most circuits. Constructors, we lose out a little bit to Aston Martin. Sebastian Vettel got 6 points today. So, yeah, Vettel is coming on strong. He's been really challenging for top 10 finishes lately. And, yeah, if that keeps up, then I think there's genuine cause for concern that we could lose P8 in the Constructors, which we definitely don't want to happen. We need P8 in the Constructors for maximum payout to upgrade the facilities heading into Season 2. So, if need be, we will start developing this car again if Aston Martin become too much of a threat. So, we'll keep that in mind. But there we go. That has been this episode for today, guys. The Italian Grand Prix. A corner cut at turn 1 has cost us that extra sponsor bonus, which I'm quite annoyed about, but I had to kind of mount the curb to avoid a crash at turn 1. I did go in super deep and was very aggressive on that first lap. I was thinking we didn't have much pace in this race, but it actually turned out pretty good. We were fairly consistent. We kept our nose out of trouble, literally, while everyone else around us was squabbling for minor placings, for stupid positions, and they ended up really taking themselves out of the fight. So I think it was a very smart and calculated race from us today. And then we really just made the most of our position that we were in. Oh, nice back-end loss there. I think I was driving really well this race. Managing the battery, managing the strategy, overcutting everyone, staying out of trouble, getting on the soft. And once we were on the soft, it was relatively easy to maintain track position until those last couple of laps where the hard compound tyre runners were really getting a second wind in that race. But there we go. 2 more points for the championship tally in a car that hasn't been upgraded in many races now. We made the most of grid penalties, and we will continue to take chances when they are presented to us in the future. We have the Singapore Grand Prix coming up next, which again is another circuit which really suits my driving style. It's a weak one for the AI. Potential for crashes with those barriers in very close proximity. So anything's possible at Singapore, especially if it rains. We are very strong in the rain as well. So let's see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. And if you're watching this just as the video goes out, I am live streaming co-op episode number 3 for the Australian Grand Prix with Alex Gillen. Link to my Twitch down in the description. You guys can get involved in the chat and be my race engineer. But there we go. I'm going to have a lie down now. I'm going to start sweating for Australia. Join me on the stream, and I'll see you tomorrow for more career mode.